And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Hardland, we have the American Protoss player representing Maturino Esports, one of the few foreigners in GSL. It is Astrea. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Red Zerg player. It is DRG. DRG, of course, being one of the ex-Abydos boys, and there is, of course, recent news. It was a couple of days ago at this point. I still haven't watched it, but for those that are curious, Cure, another one of the ex-Abydos players, he was recently picked up by Team Liquid, and there is an interview. There was an interview released earlier today, I think a couple of hours before ESL Americas. I was actually watching it while I was waking up, then I had to go cast ESL Americas. But Crank did an interview with Cure, which was really exciting to see, and I still do need to dive into that. But yeah, it's great to see and great to hear that Cure found a team. He was able to find a team, and we're still waiting for some of the other ex-Abydos boys to find a team as well. That being DRG and not Creator. Creator found a team. Nightmare found a team. Yeah, it's just DRG. DRG, unfortunately, still teamless, still looking for a place to call home. When it comes to the Koreans that are still looking for teams, I think the two big notable ones are DRG and Gumiho. Gumiho, of course, previously on Psystorm. They are both world-class players. They're both amazing at what they do. And hopefully they're able to find a home, just like how Cure did. Just like how Cure found Team Liquid. Hoping DRG and Gumiho find a place as well. For now, though, Hatchcast Pool, DRG forced to take the unnatural natural, as Astrea does make things a little bit uncomfortable in the early game, just a little bit. And I'm curious what kind of opener we go for. I mentioned before that Astrea, he's willing to think outside the box, he's willing to bring something different and new to the table, or even old to the table, just unexpected. Whether it's a Stargate opener, Twilight Council, or a Robo. Of course, Astrea can play standard, and Astrea is a player that is very well versed in the late game. I do think we've seen plenty of Astrea in late game PvZ against Scarlet specifically, and he's damn good at it as well. But we'll see if he can get there. We'll see if he wants to get there, as we do have a Stargate opener. A Stargate opener coming on out. Course, yet to see what it does lead to, but it should be Oracle into a third base. We could see Astrea go for a Void Ray or a Phoenix first, just to deny vision, just to deny scouting from DRG, to keep him in the dark, and to try and pull a fast one on him. As the Adept is going to be zoned away, and it is going to be an Oracle. Okay, so we're not really too concerned with denying scouting. We are more concerned with getting damage done and securing our third base. And with the arrival of the first Oracle, the third base shouldn't be too far behind. And we should be getting in towards the mid game. As DRG is just establishing his bases, working through these rocks very early on, which is a little bit suspect. I'm very curious. He did, of course, end up taking the triangular third base as his natural, and he could be working on a creep highway very early on here. Could be a sign of things to come, especially on a map like Hardland. Two drones go down. Oh, the Oracle taking a lot of hits already. Big overextension from Astrea. He does thankfully have a second Oracle on the way. There's that third base thrown down. And we have our follow-up tech of choice. It is going to be a Twilight Council into additional gateways. No Forge. Very curious. Now, typically I would say that this screams Glaive Adepts. So Glaive Adepts is on the table, but we have seen Hero has been very fond of actually going into an 8-gate Blink all-in from here if he doesn't go for a Forge. So that is also a possibility. Unlikely, but a possibility nonetheless. So we'll see if it's Blink or Glaives, and there it is. It is going to be Glaives, so something a little bit more traditional from Astrea. As to the follow-up, again, the reasoning for this is because there's no Forge, no upgrades. We are delaying our tech here in favor of catching DRG off guard. This is designed to, again, lure DRG into a false sense of security. DRG, he sees a third base, you know, he sees a standard opener. DRG should be droning. But he's getting into Overlord speed. Curious. But again, DRG should just be droning quite happily. He is getting a safety Roach Warren, thankfully. But how many Roaches will he have once Astrea gets across the map? Because he's just warping in and backing up these Adepts, waiting for Glaives to finish. Before he reveals his hand. Adepts, they will escape. Yeah, there we go. Roaches are on the way. So DRG is going for his own all-in. Roach speed makes sense. He's going to be setting up a creep highway or going for drop alerts across the map. And there we go. Drop alerts are on the way to send the queens. We have an aggressive build here from Astrea against a big all-in from DRG. And I think this favors DRG. I think DRG, he should have enough to shut this down. But here we go. The Adepts, they do arrive. They focus down the first queen. They cancel the shade. They get a couple of roaches as well. And they get a final queen before they're being forced back. But again, once DRG cleans up this army, he's not going to slow down. He's going to keep on pushing. Oracle falls. Here come the Dropper Lords. And I don't think Astrea knows. I'm really concerned. He does have a second shield battery on the way. So he may have pieced... Yeah, now he knows. He does spot the Dropper Lord. The all-in is upon us. And now Astrea, he throws down cannons, shield batteries, but this is too late. This is going to take far too long to finish. As DRG is already here. He has already arrived. The queens! The queens go down! Every single queen was in that Dropper Lord. Good piles, though. DRG able to make up for it here with us around. Can he still pull this off? Again, it was a big snipe for Astrea, sniping those queens. The cannons are falling, overcharges popped, so DRG has to respect it. But he should still have enough. As time is working against DRG, he has to break Astrea here and now. Yeah, the overcharge ran out, and now he's going straight for the Stalkers. And we just don't have enough here. Boys are being pulled, but the Stalkers are being focused down by the Roach Ravager. And the third base is going to fall. DRG, he doesn't just want the third, he wants the kill. He wants to straight up take down Astrea here and now. Does get the Nexus. DRG, he's droning behind this. And honestly, DRG, if he wanted to, he could dip towards this natural. He can pile down the shield battery and the cannon. He's going for it. Oof. Shield battery goes down, the cannon as well. The Immortal! Oh my god, the Immortal barely does go down. And now DRG can rotate towards the third base and he can get another cancel. Oh god, that's a kill, not a cancel. That's 400 minerals down the drain. And Astrea, he does have Blink, thankfully. He's got a couple of gateways. He's shaving off roaches wherever he can. Good target firing. But the pressure is on Astrea. As he has fallen behind. He's now taking another third base. Behind this, DRG is droning. He's working towards a spire. I believe this is unscouted. Yeah, Astrea, he has not spotted that spire. Thankfully, Astrea, he does have a couple of Blink Stalkers. I mean, I say a couple. He's got a decent Blink Stalker army. But the mutas, they're not looking for the Stalkers. They're going to be looking for the workers. As the main base and the natural looking very exposed. Oh boy. Now, I imagine the ideal here is for DRG to get into the main base, get worker kills, drag the Stalker army over towards the main. Then he has Roach Ravager... Sorry, Ling Roach Ravager to head towards the third base and just pull Astrea apart. There's a War Prism coming in. Well, the mutas, they will have to reveal themselves. No, never mind. DRG had to make a choice. Either go for the Prism or go for the kill. And he wants to go for the kill. He's going straight for the main base. Workers are going down. Now, thankfully, this War Prism is keeping the Roach Ravager busy. So, DRG, he can't hit this third. Like, this third is so exposed. He could do so much here, but he's stuck keeping up with this War Prism. 6 workers go down. DRG, he is forced back. But now he can focus on this Prism. So he's still getting plenty of value. War Prism goes down. Only 2 mutas fell. And DRG is about to max out. He's on 3 base saturation. Again, he's maxing on Ling, Roach Ravager. A couple of mutas, of course. There is stack defense on the way. Disruptors are coming out. So we have 2 disruptors with the main army. If we land some good Novas, we can maybe defend. Oh! There we go, first Nova. Takes down 2 Ravagers. Second of a big connection here on the army, but there's still just so much Zerg. There's too much Zerg here on the dance floor as DRG, he breaks through into the 3rd base. Shout out to Maynard, of course. I miss you. As DRG, he busts into the 3rd base. Biles will connect. It looks like we're going to be able to maybe hold on here with this last disruptor. But even then, what are we really holding on to? That's the question. Massive disruptor shot does connect. At the same time, the mutas, they're wreaking havoc in the natural base. More probes are going down. Astrea is being pulled apart. Again, it just was an unfortunate start to the game. Or tech choice, I should say, for Astrea to be going into to be going into Glaive Adepts against an all-in. It's very unfortunate. Again, there's just very little that Astrea could have done in that situation. Given the builds. Other than scouting, of course. And figuring out what was going on. As Astrea, he loses 36 workers. No, the disruptor is going to go down. GG is going to get called. It's just too much damage. He's gotten out of control. And DRG will take game number 1. GG. Again, if you remember, there was some really interesting, not just creep spreading, but the fact that DRG very early on was focusing on those rocks. We called it early. We were like, yo, this is kind of looking like a queen walk. This is looking very aggressive out of DRG. Not just working through those rocks, but also deciding to take the triangular 3rd base as well, which is not the most usual base to take in a ZVP. And again, it was just really unfortunate that Astrea had happened to be delaying his own tech, delaying Blink, delaying +1, delaying robot production in favor of Glaive Adepts. And the Glaives didn't do enough. They killed 2 queens, right? I think they killed 2 queens, and to be fair, every queen died, right? Like the queens weren't really able to really contribute to the fight itself, as they got sniped. But yeah, it was just a rough start there for Astrea to the all-in, and GG. GG, well played. We're getting into game number 2 with DRG taking a lead in the series. One more Onomas is all he needs. Astrea, he needs to win this game to force the ace match and to keep his chances in GSL alive, as this is the elimination match. Here we go. Spawning in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have the American Protoss player representing Matcherino Esports down in this series, but not out. It is Astrea. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg, leading the series 1-0. He needs one more to make it to the decider match. It is DRG. Rowdy, you're an animal. You're an animal, Rowdy. Rowdy, hello, Poppy, hello. Why Muta? Mutas, they're a good way to, if you have a lead, and if you know you're ahead, mutas are a great way to extend that as well. Again, you don't want to commit to mass muta, but making enough mutas, like 7 or so, is enough to like go in, one-shot workers, cripple the economy, and make sure that the Protoss player is not able to recover after an all-in like that. As we saw, DRG wasn't really intending to go mass muter. It was just enough to keep Astrea busy, to cripple the economy, and to pull him apart. So we're getting into our next game. Hatchgas pool opener here at a DRG. Standard opener. We are on Oceanborn. A map that is notorious for having a hard time taking a fourth. So we'll see which player this favors most as we get in towards the mid game. Likewise, I'm really curious as to what Astrea's build choice is going to be as well. We saw that last game it was an Oracle opener. It was Oracle into a third base, into Glaives. I can't imagine we're going to do that again. That Glaive Adept build is simply something you do once in a series, once in a best of 5, or once in a best of 3. It is not good to rely on that. So I'm sure Astrea he's going to be taking in a different direction. Again, the reason why you don't want to rely on something like that multiple times in a series is because DRG is going to be that much more vigilant when it comes to scouting that. It's now on the forefront of his mind, and he's going to be more wary of that build. So we want to try to shift gears and head elsewhere. And yeah, that is most likely true. I see someone in the chat talking about the queens. Yeah, again, like a shout out to Astrea. Like that was a pretty clutch moment to snipe the Overlord full of queens. That would have added so much more, not just DPS, but so much more longevity to the all-in. Just because you can spread creep with the Overlords, you can transfuse with the queens, you can keep the roaches and the ravagers alive that much longer. Like there's just so much more value that queens add to an all-in like that. So that was a really crucial moment actually. And yeah, I mean, props to Astrea for able to snipe that and able to make a longer game out of it, definitely. Alas, it wasn't enough to hold on to the third, but it was enough to give Astrea a chance. So here we go, we do have a second gateway on the way. It's going to be a Stargate opener into an Oracle, into a third base. Everything looking normal from the side of Astrea. This time, if we see a Twilight Council, there should be a Forge with it. Again, we'll see. Lings are moving out, looking to delay this third base if possible, but the Oracle is in position. And the third should not be delayed, as it is thrown down. And again, good positioning here from Astrea. With that Adept, Oracle moves out. There it is. There's that Twilight Council follow-up here from our Protoss. Still waiting for the Forge. Queens will zone away that Oracle. Will force it back. So far, no economic damage. There is no Forge, by the way, so this is looking like Glaives. I did mention a build earlier about how Hero, he has been doing a variation where he goes into Blink and he goes for an 8-gate Blink all-in. But this is looking like Glaives again. Show us what... Okay. It is going to be Blink, not Glaives, but very similar outlook. What I mean by that, no Forge, or a very delayed Forge here. Delayed tech. Does scream that Astrea wants to be very aggressive here instead. Uh-oh, he's doing it. Meanwhile, DRG, he does have Overlord speed on the way. That's a little bit sus. Overlord speed in production, Lair as well, alongside Roaches. So far, the Adepts are not going to come into the shade. But this is looking like what should be a Blink Stalker all-in from Astrea, just with additional gateways. As this is occurring, DRG going to be getting an eye on the would-be fourth. Moving out with his Lings. We already have our first push here from Astrea, but he's forced to turn back around. And DRG, he's cutting workers very early on here. Yep, and there it is. You don't get Overlord speed without good reason. We're going for another all-in. DRG is going to hit first, or he should hit first. This time Astrea is being more active, and he has a more robust army. I would say that Astrea is in a better position this time, because Stalkers, they fare better than Glaive Adepts against, I mean, all things Zerg, other than Lings, of course. There we go. DRG is moving across the map. This time, can he save the queens? We'll see. As Lings have arrived, we see Astrea going for a 4th base. He did throw down a Forge, a very late Forge for +1. And Astrea, he's running back home. So far, not scouting the all-in. He sees the Lings, yes, but he doesn't know about the Roaches or the Queens. No stasis traps. Astrea getting caught out of the map. Does avoid the surround. DRG has arrived, and also, oh my god, and there's that creep that we were talking about. There are the Queens. Shield battery's gonna go down. The overcharge doesn't impact this fight whatsoever. The boys are being pulled, but the probes are going down. 12 workers gone in an instant. And DRG's pushing towards that natural, getting control of the 3rd base. He will get a kill on this, or he should get a kill on this Nexus. He did run out of Lings. Does have to be careful. But reinforcements are on the way. Queens are waddling across the map as well. The creep is barely going to be denied. And Astrea fighting his heart out, trying to hold on to his 3rd base. Good target firing on the Ravagers. Ravagers are going down. The Lings that were distracted by the Nexus. Expensive losses here for DRG. He does turn back around. He's going to be focusing on this Nexus, and he should get it. Up. The Nexus will fall. The Queens get shut down as well. Now Astrea does have a 4th, thankfully, and he's main-nutting over. Oh my god. As he catches the Queens. Up. And he is essentially still on 3 bases. Astrea, his economy is looking strong. He shuts down the Ravagers. Every single Ravager goes down. The Lings, they commit to a fight under Oracles. So many Lings go down. And Astrea, yeah, he's not in a bad position. GG gets called, the all-in fails. And Astrea takes game number 2. GG. Oh my god. Very bold of DRG to go for the same strategy 2 games in a row. Very bold. So I know that I was talking a lot about Astrea. I was like, yo, we don't want to go Glaives 2 games in a row. Like, it's not going to be it's not going to be ideal because your opponent's already going to be like mentally prepared for that. The same was applicable to DRG. I didn't think he would. I didn't think he would go for another 2-base all-in. Sorry, another all-in. But yeah, he went for it. You know, went for Overlord speed, cranked out those Dropper Lords, sent everything across the map. He had a good start. Don't get me wrong. He had a very good start. I do think that a lot of it came down to his reinforcements. If you remember, there was a moment after he had cleaned up the mineral line, after he had forced Astrea to the natural, where his Ling reinforcements, they were focusing on the Nexus. They were like killing buildings at the 3rd instead of supporting the Ravagers and fighting the Stalkers. And that was the moment when I want to say 4 Ravagers went down. Like, a lot of losses were happening, a lot of expensive losses for DRG. And again, maybe just a little bit of a lapse in judgment there when it comes to where he wanted those Lings to fight. And that was the moment when the fight started swinging in favor of Astrea. That's when he started holding, pushing back the army, and yeah, he held. He was able to hold on. GG, well played. Whew. We have an ace match. we have a game 3, Papi. Let's go. We're going all the way to that 3rd game. Getting to game number 3, and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Hecate, we have the South Korean Zerg player being forced into the ace match here. Is he gonna go for another all-in in game 3? I hope not. This isn't really the best map for that sort of thing, but here we go. We have the red Zerg. It is DRG. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the American Protoss, representing Matcherino Esports. Fighting back, forcing the ace match, it is Astrea. Oh boy, again, this has been a pretty stressful series. Like, Astrea, he just wants to play some StarCraft. He just wants to get into his builds. And every single game, DRG, he's been there with an all-in. And Astrea's like, god damn it. I just want to play out my own game. And I imagine he should be able to on Hecate. Reason why I say that, this map is more macro oriented. The rush distance by ground is longer, it's a lot more of a winding pathway as well. It's a little bit more awkward to commit to an all-in. We have a lot of bases to take as well. A lot of bases on the map, and yeah, I would hope that we get into a proper mid-game. We haven't had that yet this series. I want one, but it's not up to me. It's maybe not even up to us. It's up to DRG. It's like, papi. Are we gonna drone up more than like 60? Are we gonna take a fourth? We'll see. So far, 50% success rate. You know, it's not working too badly here for DRG. But I imagine we're gonna take a different approach this time. I imagine. As for now, it's gonna be a hatch gas pool standard opener out of our Zerg player. Likewise, Astrea going for a gate expand into a cybercore. Everything is looking as it should. Ooh. Again, the big divergences are going to be when our tech is chosen. On a map like Hecate, on a pylon positioning like this, it's looking like a Stargate opener. Looking to be a standard start here from Astrea. Oh, let's go. It's not a Stargate, it's not even a Twilight Council. It's going to be a Robo first. Bold move. This can go in a couple of different directions. Initially, my mind goes to Disruptor Drop. Disruptor Drop would make a lot of sense. We can go into a fast robotic spade, we can get into a Warp Prism, get into Warp Prism speed. Disruptor Drops are really risky, very high risk, high reward. As you can imagine, Purification Novas in general, they rely on your opponent to mess up and not be able to split. And if we don't trade well enough, then Astrea, he's going to be very vulnerable back at home. The other thing this could be something that Nina does, and Astrea's done this before. Colossus Drop, that's another possibility. If we throw down a third gateway, we could go for even an all-in, like an Immortal Sentry based all-in. And here we go, the Prism is on the way. 2 gateways to begin with. There's that third gateway that we were talking about. Third gateway here from Astrea. There's no bay. We should have seen a robotics bay by now. Shells, what you got? Huh. Is it gonna be a fourth gateway? If it's a fourth gateway, it's just a straight up a 2-base all in. Third base is on the way though. There's 2-base all in. Let's go. Oh my god. How many gateways are we working with? So that's gonna be 6 gateways for now. We can go up to 8 gates, and this is gonna be a slow lot all in. Let's go. No gases. Barely any gas income. This is going to be an old school immortal slow lot all in. No charge. It's not necessary, papi. Slow lots. They waddle in. They kill everything. Whenever I see this build, I think of Pez versus Chappie at PAX Australia. I'm never going to get that out of my mind. Feels Chappie, man. Feels Chappie, man. As Astrea's moving out, there we go. The slow lots are being morphed in. Back at home, DRG, he's not fully aware of what's going on, but does he come across? He does see the Prism. He's aware of the Robo Opener. He does see the Immortal as well. Bailing Nest is on the way. Very crucial here to defend. Queens are coming out. Lings as well. DRG's preparing a defense. He now knows that he doesn't need a Spore. He needs Spine Crawlers. And yeah, we're not getting into the mid-game. That's not... Coming into... I was like, are we going to get up to 4 bases? No, Papi, no, we are not. As the army has arrived, Spore's going to go down. There's a lot of Queens. A lot of Queens in position. They're going for the Warp Prism. Prism is zoned away. So far, so good. DRG is able to deal with a small portion of these Zealots. The others are just being forced back here by these Lings. Spinecrawler finishes. Bailings are on the way. And we get another surround. Zealots are falling one after the other. The Queens, they barely don't keep that Spinecrawler alive. But it looks like we do have enough to defend. Again, a good reaction here from DRG. The Bailings! They deny the warp in. The prison is forced to be lifted. And he does have another wave. The Immortal is still alive. We're getting on top of the Queens. But we can still transfuse. And it looks like DRG, he will shut this down. He will hold. He takes down the Immortal. And with the death of the Immortal, that is all we had left. That is the death of the All-In. And there's nothing behind this. There's no Twilight Council. There's no upgrades, no gases. Oh, we're now taking gases. Astrea, he's going to try to transition. But he is far behind. Behind this, if DRG wanted to, he can drone. He can saturate his 3 bases. Astrea, he's warping in some adepts. That's going to be a way to come back to try to cripple the economy. But here comes DRG going for a massive counterattack. There is nothing back at home to defend. There is a wall. There's a shield battery. Zealots are being caught out. Zealots, Stalkers, we force a recall. Prism makes into main base, but the Queens are home to defend. The Adepts, they're going to get a couple of drones. They're going to get a couple of workers, 3 workers. But the drop is dealt with, and yeah, from here, DRG is throwing down a Roachborn. He could drone, he's not. He's making 20 more lings. Oh my god. Tongue Ray, good, papi. There we go, now we're droning, at least a little bit. As we have more than enough zealots, sorry, Banelings to deal with these zealots. Oof. Overcharges, but we have a sentry for force fields. And DRG is going to respect that. He will back up for the time being. Immortal comes out. Astrea is still contained here to 2 bases, and again, nothing is forcing DRG to break this. Like, honestly, he just has to back off, drone, get a lair, start working on upgrades, take a 4th base even, just for larva. He doesn't have to break Astrea. Like, DRG overextending and overcommitting here is, like, best case scenario for Astrea. Like, if DRG tries to force the issue and if DRG loses too much, then Astrea could potentially come back. But DRG, he does pull back home. A very mature decision. He's droning, taking gases. Lair is on the way. And Astrea will break free. He is taking his 3rd. And DRG does get eyes on this. He does spot the 3rd base. And this is going to be DRG's next target. Here we go. Army's moving out. DRG just making sure he doesn't get supply blocks. Making all those overlords. Yeah, Astrea, he pulls back. He knows he can't hold on to this. He cannot hold on to the 3rd. There's just no way, no shot he could. Astrea, just because of the all-in, the failed all-in earlier, he's just perpetually stuck here on 2 bases. He even has inefficient mining because of that gateway as well. Ay ay ay. And DRG, he's getting a 4th. I'm getting what I asked for, I guess. we're getting a 4th base from the Zerg. Kind of. Behind the Storm is on the way, and I mean, Astrea, he's taking up quite a lot. His army is looking robust. It's looking quite strong, don't get me wrong. It could be a very efficient army, but DRG comes in once again. He's going to force another cancel, and he dives on the army, forcing a recall. Oof. Sentries go down. Immortal as well. The wall is not a wall. Good force fields. But again, from here, DRG, he can just focus on the wall itself. Gets the cyber core. And then pulls back. And again, this is the elimination match. This is the final chance, the final game that Astrea had here in this series, in this season of GSL, the final season of the year. So he's fighting his heart out. If there's ever a chance, you know, even if it's a slim one, he wants to take it. He does have Storm. He could take a fight even when down in supply, but this isn't just being down in supply, it's the problem. It's as DRG, he's about to max out. He is on the brink here of 200 supply. And once again, as Astrea takes the third base, he's exposing himself. So DRG is going to be wanting to collapse on this location from both angles. He's looking for a surround. Oh, that's the wall! Things barely do not make it in. The Roches from one side, the Lings from another. These Lings are being a little bit wasteful, but they get us around anyway. Plus 2 Lings, they go ham on these Zealots. They collapse on the army. Storms are looking decent. Oh my god, a lot of Roaches are going down. Astrea trading well. He was down, what, 70? Almost 80 supply? And Astrea takes a good fight. Now the downside is that it did cost him a lot of storms. He lost a High Templar, he was forced to morph in Archons, and for the next fight, he will have significantly less storms. He will have maybe 3 storms available. Here comes the rest of the army. Again, that was a good fight. Props to Astrea, but he has to replicate that, and it's going to be difficult to do so. Here we go. DRG getting ready for that second wave. There's that first storm. We have 3 more behind this at the same time. Zealot, oh my god, big Zealot run by. He comes in, gets 2 workers. Doesn't quite get the base, but he forces everything to turn around. That's what's most important. The Zealots may not have killed too many workers, but he gets a lot of breathing room. Banelings are wasted. Astrea, he saturates the third base. We have taken our first big step here in coming back in this game. Now it's not over yet. Like we're not back in yet, but we're getting there. DRG just now working in the Infestation Pit. That'll be for Hive Tech. We do have a lot more High Templar. Taking the 4th. This is the next step, and not too sure about that. The 4th is going to be significantly more difficult to actually hold on to. But so far, DRG hasn't seen it. He hasn't spotted it. Zealot run by once again, forcing the entire army to turn around. And this is giving time for Astrea to establish this base. But here we go, DRG remaxing once again. He's going for the push. Zoning Storm does get wasted. He's coming in. Massive storms here on the Banelings. We have a couple more storms in the chamber, as we are forced to pull back. Again, good control out of Astrea. He does hold on to his High Templar. He does hold on to the high ground. Does take another fight. That 4th base is finishing. So far unscattered by DRG. And DRG finally gets eyes on it. There's no shield battery here, no static defense. Oh, and Astrea is being spread thin. Yeah, this is the moment that DRG was waiting for. The entire army of Astrea reacts. Nexus is going to go down. At the same time, DRG, he breaks into the natural. And this is just a numbers game. Astrea, he just doesn't have the supply to defend both locations at once. And he loses the Nexus. The 4th base goes down. Again, this is when supply does matter. Even if you're trading efficiently, you just can't spread yourself thin like that. And Astrea may just be all in. Yeah, he's pushing. As he pushes out, Ling's gonna cripple his economy, confirming the all in. And he's had some miracle defense, but does Astrea have some miracle offense? As this time, he's the one pushing into DRG. Good storms. Whilst, oh, they do connect. Connecting with the Archons, with some of the High Templar as well. Ling Bane's rolling in, and they connect. And just like that, 0 High Templar left. At the same time, the Lings, they bust into the 3rd base, and Astrea doesn't have anything left. It's been impressive, very impressive that he was able to fight as hard as he did, despite being so far behind. But he loses control of his third. Astrea down to 25 workers, 0 storms left. The storms were really carrying Astrea here to control the High Templar, but it's all gone at this point. And GG gets called. DRG will take the series 2-1, eliminating Astrea and moving on to the decider match. GG. Hey, not gonna lie, there was like a moment in that game where I was like, no shot, is he? It's like, is he gonna come back? Is he gonna stabilize? That's what I was saying. Is he gonna get his 4th base up and running and get away with it? He almost did. He almost did. But we saw again that once he took that 4th, like he was just, yeah, spreading out a little bit too much. He was leaving openings in his defense. He was very vulnerable at that time. And DRG took full advantage of Astrea. And to be fair, I mean, he was already ahead because of the failed all-in. Impressive that Astrea almost recovered, but didn't quite get there in the end. GG, well played. Ooh. And with that, we are down to one final series.